What's up everybody, I'm Captain Foggy, welcome to Mindsculpting MTG, and today we're back at it again with another deck tech. This is Claim to Fame Aggro. What is Claim to Fame Aggro? Claim to Fame is a brand new card from Hour of Devastation that lets us reanimate creatures, give them haste, and give them +2/+0, all for 3 mana. Claim costs 1 black mana and lets you reanimate target creature from your graveyard as long as it costs 2 or less. Fame, on the other hand, the second half of the card, allows you to give target creature +2/+0 and haste. So with that being said, we're only playing creatures that cost 2 or less, but what creatures are we playing?
For our 1-drops, we're playing 4 copies of Falkenrath Gorger. It's an aggressive 1-drop, it's a 2/1. Each vampire creature card you own that isn't on the battlefield has madness. Now of course Falkenrath is the only creature we're actually playing that's a vampire. However, when we discard it to say like a Bloodrage Brawler and we have one of these already on the field, we can just play the other one for madness cost on turn 3. Also, we're playing 3 copies of Soulscar Mage. It's a 1/2 with prowess. If a source you control would deal non-combat damage to a creature an opponent controls, put that many -1/-1 counters on that creature instead. Using our burn package, this lets us take down larger threats that we wouldn't normally be able to deal with if we didn't have that -1/-1 ability. Of course, it does say put that many -1/-1 counters on that creature instead, so it's not a May ability, so it's something that's mandatory. We're playing 4 copies of Earthshaker Khenra. It's a 2/1 with haste. When it enters the battlefield, target creature with power less than or equal to its power can't block this turn. Plus it has Eternalize for 2 red and 4 colorless, which brings it back later on in the game as a 4/4 black zombie. This card is an excellent late game mana sink, plus a great early threat that makes combat very tricky for our opponents. Moving on, we're playing 2 copies of Kari Skyship Raider. It's a 1/3 with First Strike and Menace. Whenever Kari Zev attacks, create a legendary 2/1 red monkey creature token named Ragavan that's tapped and attacking. Exile that token at the end of combat. It's another great 2-drop, makes blocks awkward for our opponent with its First Strike and Menace abilities, plus it comes with an extra attacker. Next, we're playing 4 copies of Bloodrage Brawler. When Bloodrage Brawler enters the battlefield, discard a card. It's a 4/3 for 2, lets us turn our Fiery Tempers into Lightning Bolts, plus it's a great target for Claim to Fame. Lastly, we're playing 4 copies of Scrapheap Scrounger. It's another reason we are playing black. It's a great recurring threat on a 3/2 body. Pay 2 mana, exile another creature card from your graveyard, return Scrapheap Scrounger from the graveyard to the battlefield. Now we are playing 1 copy of Hazoret the Fervent. I know it's not a 2-drop, but it's too good not to play. You see what I did there? It has indestructible haste on a 5/4 body. It's aggressive, hard to deal with, turns extra cards into more damage for our opponent.
That's it for the creatures, but what spells are we playing?
Of course we're playing 3 copies of Claim to Fame. It's the main reason we're playing black. It keeps the deck going through the mid to late game, plus it allows us to use guerrilla tactics against our opponent. As far as removal, we're playing 2 copies of Magma Spray, 2 copies of Fatal Push, and 2 copies of Abrade. Magma Spray synergizes with Soulscar Mage, great against early threats, and also other copies of Scrapheap Scrounger. Fatal Push is the best cheap removal spell in the format, kills Heart of Kiran, other threats like Glorybound Initiate, plus can take down bigger threats with the Revolt mechanic. Abrade is an instant speed 3 damage removal spell, kills tons of relevant threats like Heart of Kiran, Torrential Gearhulk, and deals with Oketra's Monument. Lastly, we're playing 4 copies of Fiery Temper and 2 copies of Chandra, Torch of Defiance. Fiery Temper is our standard legal lightning bolt. It's great with Bloodrage Brawler and Hazoret. Plus, who doesn't like dealing 3 damage for only 1 mana? Chandra gives us card advantage, deals with larger threats, and synergizes well with Soulscar Mage, and can also close out games for us.
As far as lands, we're running 23 in total.
We're playing 4 copies of Foreboding Ruins, 3 copies of Canyon Slough, and 7 basic mountains. Canyon Slough is great for mana fixing and plus also lets us draw cards later on in the game when we don't need the land. Also, we're playing 4 copies of Ramunap Ruins, 4 copies of Sunscorched Desert, and 1 copy of Dunes of the Dead. Ramunap Ruins is a great new addition from Hour of Devastation. It can help close out games by sacrificing our deserts. Sunscorched Desert pings the opponent whenever it comes into play, and Dunes of the Dead creates a 2/2 black zombie creature token when we sacrifice it.
Now onto the sideboard. Always keep in mind, your 15 card sideboard should depend on your local meta, but this is what I got for you.
We're playing 2 copies of Magma Spray, 3 copies of Invigorated Rampage, 2 copies of Hanweir Garrison, an extra copy of Hazoret the Fervent, 3 copies of Thought-Knot Seer, 2 copies of Glorybringer, and 2 copies of Reality Smasher. Magma Spray, more removal. Every once in a while you need a little bit more. Invigorated Rampage helps make blocking a lot more difficult for our opponents. Hanweir Garrison is in there for when we need to go wide. The extra copy of Hazoret the Fervent's in there because who doesn't like Hazoret? Thought-Knot Seer is great for control matchups. So is Glorybringer, plus it's really great against zombies and other monument decks. And then 2 final copies of Reality Smasher against more control matchups as well.
That's it for today. Let me know what you think about the deck in the comments. Are there any creatures that I missed out on that you would consider running instead? Also, if you enjoyed this deck tech, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content so you never miss out on anything from Mindsculpting MTG. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you next upkeep.